Hello all, welcome to this second Hangout session. We see a lot of activities going on the discussion forum. We're quite excited about that. Normally Amber will join us later in this session if she can make it, and Herco is a little bit ill, so he apologizes for not being present. So you'll have to do it for the moment with Daniela and myself. Before going further, for those who were not joining in for the first Google Hangout and have no experience with this, you can ask questions during this session by clicking on the top corner. You see a small rubric, and there you see a Q&A button, and you can post your question there. We will see them in written format, and we will try to answer them at least during this session. If we're not yet able to answer it, we will take this question to the discussion forum and answer it over there. So, but Daniela will first tell something further about the group work you've been doing. So Daniela, I'll give the floor to you first.
Yeah, well, hello all. My task now is to briefly look back to what you've done in the first 2 weeks now, and to look forward to what your next task is. And in the first week, your main task was to form teams and to fill in the team charter in which you make appointments about how you want to collaborate in your team. Now, quite a lot of you have formed teams yourself, and that's very good because we know that these self-formed teams in general work quite well. And last Tuesday, we have selected the group of people who had filled in their profile but had not joined a team, and we have made 11 extra groups, depending on the track that you chose and your preference for synchronous or asynchronous communication. So if you're in a new group or a group that has just been formed, please take time also to look at the team charter assignment and to fill in your team charter, because it's important that you make these appointments, that you get to an agreement on how you want to collaborate, how you want to communicate. In the groups that are there now, we see very interesting patterns. We see that some groups have formed because they're all in the same region or all in the same institute. We see a Brazilian group and a group from Ukraine, I think. We also see groups that have formed around a certain interest because they're all language teachers or because they're all teaching in secondary schools or primary schools. So that's nice to see, and we hope that you are in a group that you feel at home in, that you feel you can collaborate with. We also see that there are a number of groups who are very, very small. So if you're in a really small group and you feel that there are not enough people, please consider also to merge with another small group or to join another group so that you can find a group of people to complete this course with or to follow on. If we see on what's happening around how you communicate, we see large differences as well. Some groups even have decided to meet face-to-face because they're very close, and others have chosen different channels. So I think that's what I wanted to say about last week. This week you have started on your first PBL assignment, and as you've seen, these assignments are broken up into a part A, which is equivalent to the brainstorming or pre-discussion phase, and a part B, which is equivalent to the reporting or post-discussion phase. So in this first week, you are brainstorming. We hope you are formulating your own learning questions as a team. So some aspects you might know a lot about, some other aspects maybe less, or there might be some things that interest you most as a team. And those are the things that you can delve into using the materials that we provide, or materials that you find yourself. And then going over to next week, you will be reporting back and discussing what you found around your own learning questions. That's at least what I wanted to say about how the tasks work. Geraldine, you're going on, I think.
Okay, thank you, Daniela. We had a look at the team charters we got in, and it's, we think, so from the about 120 teams that have been formed, we received, well, half of them send in their team charter. As Daniela said, it's a good thing to do. Even if you haven't done it yet, we would really advise you to do this, because then you start really thinking about how you will divide the work, what agreements you make, and what you can do when some members do not follow those agreements. So please also fill in these team charters. We also noticed that some of the groups are very, very small. Of course, if you have to complete then a team charter, it's dividing the roles between the different groups. So think about this, and perhaps it's a good thing to come together and to join small groups together, if it's of course feasible for you, because you have to be able to arrange to have a meeting or to discuss things. A bit surprising for me was that I saw one team charter, probably there are more, where you have people from different tracks joining in, so track 2 and track 3. So I think there you really have to see how you will arrange for doing the tasks. Or perhaps it was more like most interesting, but that you have, as a group, have decided to work on one track. That's something I could not figure out on how to do. In the meantime, I see that someone has joined this session. Perhaps you can introduce yourself. No reaction. I see it on the screen below. Okay, then we'll continue. What we also well, we see that, so we have about 120 teams, so there are a lot of people who did not join a team and did not really complete their profile information, so that we could not assign them to a team. Of course, it's not really a problem. It would be nice, though, if that group of people could contribute to the discussion forum, so that they are also, rather than just watching, for instance, the lectures, that they also share their opinions, their experience through the discussion forum. You can do that by adding to the specific lectures some information, or also on the general discussion forum, or if you think it's related to one of the 3 tracks, there are some specific discussion forums as well that will open once that's that you start working on the specific assignments per track. With respect to the discussion forums, we see a lot of activity going on, but of course we want to stress, perhaps once again, that we really hope that all the participants will really participate in the discussion forum. So, and that also means that when you post something, it's important to add some kind of a question, like not just put a statement where people say agree or not agree, or where you can just answer yes or no. So we do hope when you post a question that you really encourage people to react on it, that you invite the people to react on it. Also, you can see, you can start a new thread in the discussion forum, or you can comment on a thread. And sometimes we see that the comments go further, but that actually the subject changes. If that's the case, it would be nice if you start a new thread so that people can easily see that a new discussion is starting over again. So these are some minor details to work on. I don't know, Daniela, if you want to add something to that part of the discussion forum. Hi, Amber.
Hi, how are you guys? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we are.
Fantastic. Thanks. I had a couple of things I needed to plug in as a download, and now I'm good to go. It's great to see you guys.
It's nice that you're joining in. So we just talked about the group work, the assignments, and a little bit on the team charter and the discussion forum in a way, not the content of the discussion forum, but how to pose a question and to invite people really to react on it.
Okay, great.
Okay, perhaps then it's a good idea. I don't know whether you want to say something about more the content of the discussion forum.
Sure.
Yeah?
And just to, and I'm not sure if you guys have already mentioned this, but just to give people a little bit of an indication about the participants, we've got over, I think, 2,800 participants in the MOOC right now that have signed up, which is exciting to see. And again, I'm sure it has been mentioned, participants from literally all over the world, particularly the largest populations are from Brazil, the United States, Mexico, and India, and then over 120 teams, I believe. But in terms of what you were mentioning, we also noticed from the analytics this week that the majority of the discussion has actually occurred now in week 2, which is also great, which indicates that there's a lot going on in the teams as well as the main discussion. It looks like a lot of the discussion is centering around what it looks like to be an effective PBL teacher or tutor. I know there was a lot of interest in the open, broader discussion related to a video that Danielle had posted about being an effective tutor for PBL. And I also noticed in the main discussion that many of you, many of the participants, each of you, are sharing a lot of finding and sharing a lot of really great resources. So I noticed there were posts on resources that you found related to teamwork, related to international perspectives on PBL, and so I think it's really fantastic to see that we're able as a group in that main discussion area to be building upon the resources that you're locating and then also sharing them with the rest of the group. So that's fantastic to see and very exciting to see in the open format discussion that we have for the whole group. So it's really great to see that this week also.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Perhaps we could just as a reminder talk about the general rules for the group work once again. Mm-hmm. Daniela, can you do so?
I can try to repeat some of the main points that Herco raised last week. As you know, this is a course on problem-based learning, and small group work is very important in problem-based learning. We've tried to follow those principles as far as we could in this MOOC, which is not completely really PBL because there are no tutors, so I don't think I would call it PBL, but it's along the lines of those principles. In group work, especially if you're doing online group work, if you're a virtual team, it's very important that you find your own way of communicating and collaborating. And when we were designing this MOOC, we have on purpose left that quite open so that as a team you can decide whether you like to communicate synchronously or asynchronously, whether you want some particular person to take a strong lead in your group, or whether you want to be a group that functions more democratically, or whether you want to rotate the different roles. There's a lot of freedom in that because I think that's necessary. You're all different. But it is important that you talk about this and that you agree amongst yourself how you're going to work, that you feel free and safe to bring up issues if you do not feel the team is functioning well. The team charter was our effort to explicitly, to make that discussion explicit, but it doesn't end here. This is a discussion that you should keep up in your team because maybe your preferences will change. If you're not in a team yet, you can still join a team, but then try to make sure that you understand what agreements have been made and that you feel happy with them. That's probably the main points about group work, and we hope and trust that in this first PBL task now you're finding your feet on discussing, brainstorming, forming your own learning questions. And note also that in this MOOC and also in PBL in general, the learning questions of different teams do not have to be the same. So if your team is very interested in a particular domain or in a particular aspect, it's absolutely fine to focus on the points that are most interesting for you. It's when you hand in your assignment, it would be very nice if you would just briefly explain what your learning questions were or where your focus was, so that if people do peer review your work, they understand what you were trying to do and they don't give you feedback on something that you weren't trying to do anyway. Those, I think, were my main points.
Okay, thank you. I realized that on the discussion board forum, a number of you asked whether they could still join a team. As Daniela said, that's still possible. And you can find information. It's very clearly described in the NovoEd help function. You can find a link on the announcement page of the course. So I think there, if you follow the steps, you will see that it's a very easy process. I also just realized that we did not put a separate announcement for this Google Hangout. This date was mentioned in the first announcement. That's probably also why I can see that we only have 3 viewers who can still ask questions, but we will make sure that every Google Hangout will be announced separately as well on NovoEd. My apologies for that one, for those who are watching afterwards on the YouTube channel. I'm not sure, Amber or Daniela, whether you want to add something else to this session. Daniela, I see you nodding that it's fine. Amber?
No, I don't really have anything to add. Mainly just I would encourage the teams to continue sharing the resources as they did in the main discussion area. I think that really creates a rich learning environment for everybody. So for those who have posted, thank you. I think it's been great to build upon the resources that we have in the course, but to have these external resources coming in is really great. So I'd like to continue to see that as you come across resources, because I know the more we kind of dive into these topics, the more you're going to be looking at and coming across resources that I think will benefit the entire group. So I just want to thank the folks who've done that so far and to encourage everyone else moving forward to do the same. So thank you guys for that. And it's really exciting to see what's happening with the teams, you know, even just since the kickoff last week. And everybody's really just diving into this and incredibly interested and dedicated. And, you know, the analytics also showed us that for the majority of participants, this is your first MOOC for many of you. And so that's also exciting to see that this could be your first MOOC experience, and hopefully one that with this PBL component and with this team-based, peer-based learning will really help to create some connections and some really significant, meaningful ways to adopt this into your own context. So that's exciting to see as well.
Okay, I think then thanks for your reaction. I think you're certainly sharing the resources is an important one, and it's indeed nice to see that people start doing that. Mm-hmm. If that's all, we're going to close this session. So, and we'll announce that this session has taken place and that you can still watch it on YouTube, and we'll certainly make sure that everybody is aware of the next Google Hangout when that will occur. Mm-hmm. Okay, Thank you very much all for watching, the 3 viewers I can see right now. Thanks Danielle and Amber for joining in.
Sure.
Bye.
Sure. Bye. Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.